2009 F1 World Champion Jenson Button is expecting to see a revitalized Fernando Alonso at Renault next year, with the Spaniard on his way back to the paddock after 2 seasons spent racing in other series. Button, in a chat with the Australian Grand Prix podcast In the Fast Lane, said age won't be an issue for the 2-time F1 World Champion, who will turn 40 in 2021, and that some outside perspective gained from IndyCar and beyond will have helped his approach.
I think he's super excited to come back to racing, and I think you'll see a slightly different Fernando in terms of he will be more of a team player. I just hope that the guy that employed him isn't fired in a couple of years. Cyril, we'll see.
Button said that Alonso's winning memories with Renault should see him through, and that using 2021 to get back up to speed was a smart move.
The new downforce and the new packages will be very different. That should be closer racing, and it should hopefully bunch the field up a bit. So that's what he was coming back for, but I don't think he could wait another year. So a year under his belt was probably a good thing going into the new regulations.
AlphaTauri driver Pierre Gasly was driver of the day in Belgium, with the Frenchman's brave passes and run to 8th again proving to Red Bull's bosses he deserves a second chance at its top squad. Should he stay at AlphaTauri into 2021 though, he could be paired with promising Japanese talent Yuki Tsunoda, with the F2 race winner set to test with the team in Abu Dhabi after the final race. He has all the ingredients to become a successful F1 driver, said AlphaTauri team boss Franz Tost. Ferrari will have added pressure to perform at its 1000th Grand Prix, with Mugello confirmed to become the first race this season to welcome fans, though numbers will be limited to just 2,880 spectators per day. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has forced all 7 races so far to be held behind closed doors, but this weekend's Italian Grand Prix at Monza will likely be the last to do so. Tickets are already on sale for the Tuscan race, along with the following Russian Grand Prix. F1 is also expecting fans at the Nürburgring, while the Portuguese event should have between 50 to 60,000. Mugello will celebrate all things Scuderia, though it could be muted. With the brand suffering competitively, both cars out of the points in Belgium. F1 will be returning to Istanbul for the first time since 2011, with the sport confirming another 4 events last week, including a Middle Eastern triple header that takes the final total to 17. It's a huge achievement, given the unprecedented challenge of organizing multiple international events during the COVID-19 pandemic, and one that ensures the wheels keep turning and without financial penalties, with 15 the minimum number required in broadcaster contracts. Turkey is on November 15, followed by 2 rounds in Bahrain, one on its outer track, with a projected pole lap time of 53.9 seconds, before the Abu Dhabi finale on December 13. With Istanbul understandably on many fans' wish list, with the track an instant classic from its calendar debut in 2005. The 5.338-kilometer Istanbul Park has 14 turns, 8 left and 6 right, for an expected top speed of 320 kilometers per hour. The lap record is still held by Juan Pablo Montoya in a V10 McLaren. It has a flowing opening sector before turn 8, a multi-apex monster corner. DRS will no doubt be applied to the long back straight before a final complex brings the cars back to complete the lap. 2007 F1 World Champion Kimi Raikkonen is yet to decide on whether he will re-sign with Alfa Romeo Racing, but stated the bigger picture is much more important for him moving forward. Raikkonen is a free agent at the end of this season, his 18th racing in F1, when he will be the sport's most experienced driver by any measure, with the Finn set to add the record for most F1 starts to the one he holds for most laps raced, currently 16,954. The 40-year-old admitted that while a competitive car was important, his family life was the deciding factor in whether to stay in F1. There's going to be a point where I'll want to be home and do other things, but not yet, he said. Sergio Perez is adamant that he'll remain with Racing Point next season, with the Mexican admitting that he's not talking with other teams despite persistent rumors he will be replaced by four-time F1 world champion Sebastian Vettel as the squad becomes Aston Martin. Perez has a deal to race with the team until 2022, but would be forced to make way should Vettel sign, with teammate Lance Stroll, the son of the squad's co-owner Lawrence. But to remove the Mexican, Racing Point would first need to approach F1's contract recognition board to work out whether it can exercise an exit clause or to do another deal, either with Perez to settle or another team like Alfa Romeo and Haas that could take him on. But Perez says there's no reason to look elsewhere. We're all feeling that everything is working well, so we don't see the reason why we should change anything, he said. The case against Racing Point's sanctioned brake ducts continues to lose momentum, with Renault's withdrawal last week of its appeal against the steward's verdict that saw its rival fined €400,000, docked 15 points in the Constructors' Championship, but still run the deemed legal ducts for the rest of the season as a sporting, not technical regulation breach. Renault was the instigator of the action against Racing Point and argued that its ducts, newly listed parts for 2020 that it had to now design, were copies from the Mercedes W10. It was also unhappy with the decision to allow the sanctioned components to remain on the car. But the French marque dropped its appeal after working with F1 and the FIA to clarify what's allowed from 2021, with changes to the sporting and technical regulations. Reaching this strategic objective in the context of the new Concord Agreement was our priority, said the statement. The controversy of the start of this season should be put behind us, as we need to focus on the remainder of an intense and unique championship. Racing Point and Ferrari are continuing on to the FIA's International Court of Appeal, despite Renault, McLaren and Williams all dropping their cases. Dutch Grand Prix organizers want to see fans at Zandvoort for the event's return to the calendar and are open to a later slot in 2021 to avoid having a costly race behind closed doors. The Netherlands event is privately funded, making ticket sales crucial to success, with bankable demand given the popularity of national hero, Red Bull Racing star Max Verstappen. Factors that make a closed-door race almost impossible to accept, with organizers already balking at a 2020 edition devoid of fans. Hopefully the situation in the world allows us to organize an event in May and otherwise later during the year, but with fans, said Dutch GP sporting director Jan Lammers. That's what we really want. Outgoing Mercedes engine boss Andy Cowell has given a hint on where he could pop up next, with the Brit stating Project Pit Lane, which united F1 teams in the fight against COVID-19 and repurposed facilities to develop ventilators and breathing aids, lit the bonfire in his belly. Cowell is set to leave Mercedes' Brixworth engine base at the end of the year, with the 51-year-old assisting with the transition process. But while he remains at the top of rivals' shopping lists, the Brit is more focused on looking at engineering projects beyond F1 that can provide real, tangible benefits to society, like the CPAP device Mercedes created. That's the challenge I want going forward. I do class myself as having one of the best jobs on the planet at the moment. A lot of my friends, and especially my mum, thinks I'm as mad as a box of frogs to hand my notice in, he said to F1's Beyond the Grid podcast. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.